What is up, guys? We're back again with another video today, and today's video is going to be a little bit longer. I apologize, but it is longer for a good reason. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the kits of the 5 confirmed characters that we know that are going to be in 1.1 for Duet Night Abyss. There is one more, the 6, but we have no information on them, so it's a little bit unfortunate, but I cannot cover it for you guys. But yeah, I will be breaking it all down for you guys to help you guys make a decision on maybe what character you want to build first or which one you want to work on first. But yes, the site that we're using for this information is called Boarhat. I will have it linked down in the description, and if there's any gameplay at any point in this video on screen, I will also have that linked in the description of this video for the creator that made the gameplay. But without further ado, if you guys like this video, like the video, comment, subscribe to help support the channel. Let's get right into the video. Alright guys, so the first character that we're going to be talking about is going to be ZHILIU, my most anticipated character, the one I want to play the most, and what I'm most excited for. So yeah, let's go talk about her. So first off, she does look a little bit confusing. She has a lot of different words for her skills because she can, well, as you'll see in a second, she has a bunch of different ways to use different skills because she plays around a talisman system. So we'll get right into it. I'll break it down so it's a little bit easier for y'all to understand, because goddamn, them using 8 different words for just some simple stuff, it's pretty damn annoying. Alright guys, so the first thing we're going to be talking about is her skill called Celestial Revelation. Now there's 2 different ways to use the skill. You can press it and you can hold it. If you press the skill, you get something called Celestial Revelation Gen, dealing electro damage to enemies within range in front of her, which grants you 1 talisman of Gen. If you hold it, you get something called Celestial Revelation Jun, dealing electro damage to enemies in front of her, which grants you Ultra Shield and also gives you 1 talisman of Jun, Zun, whatever you want to call it, XUN. Now, those talismans are going to be very, very important whenever we get to her ultimate called Heaven and Earth Deviation. This is where these talismans come into play. So, without further ado, let's talk about them. It looks pretty confusing. I'm going to try and break it down for you guys as best as I can. Now, when ZHILIU has fewer than 2 talisman, deal electro damage to enemies within range. When ZHILIU has 2 talisman, this skill is replaced with another skill based on the type of talisman. So there are 3 other skills that you can get in here: Thunder, Oracle Pearl, Myriad Things, Thrive, and Fortune Clarity. There's also one of those will create an AoE that has a different name as well. I know it sounds pretty confusing. Let's talk about it. So when you use 2 Talisman of Gen, this is the press on the skill, not holding it, the one that does the AoE, you will get your ultimate replaced by something called Thunder Oracle Pearl. What that does, it will eat those 2 talisman, consumes them, and deal electro damage to enemies in a straight line ahead of you. So yeah, that's a little bit of a change. Now, let's talk about the other, I guess, combos that we have, because obviously if you can use Gen, 2 Gens, that means you can use 2 Juns, that means you can use 1 Gen, 1 Jun. Yeah, I get where I'm getting at. So when you use 1 Gen and 1 Jun, or Zun, whatever you want to call it, your ultimate is now replaced by something called Myriad Things Thrive. Consumes all talismans, so 1 Gen, 1 Jun, dealing periodic damage to enemies within range in front of her, then creates something called 4 Realms Align wherever you cast it. Now, what the 4 Realms Align does is it selects several enemies within range every 3 seconds, inflicting a strike of Gen Jun Convergence on them. And what Gen Jun Convergence does is AoE. So to just go over it really quickly, you use 1 of each. She will do an AoE in front of her, and then she will leave an AoE underneath her that does electro damage to enemies, or 7 enemies every 3 seconds. It's a little bit annoying the way they word it, because I mean, they just threw a bunch of words at us like, what the hell am I supposed to do with all of that? But yeah, that's pretty much what 1 of each does. Now, what do you get when you use 2 of Jun? Jun is the hold. This is the one that gives you a shield. Now, when ZHILIU has 2 Talisman of Jun, your ultimate is replaced by something called Fortune Clarity. It consumes both of those talismans to deal electro damage to enemies around you and increase ZHILIU's skill damage. So again, I know it sounds pretty confusing, but I'm going to go through all 3 right now without using all their jargons and the extra words that they're using, just to simplify it for you. When you use 2 of Gen, you're going to just do AoE in front of you, a straight line ahead. Simple. When you use 1 of each, you're going to do AoE in front of you, but you're going to leave a pool underneath you that's going to deal damage to enemies every 3 seconds. Several enemies every 3 seconds. And when you use 2 of the hold, you're going to just deal damage to enemies in front of you, but you're going to grant yourself skill damage. So the big change is really 1 gives AoE and then 1 gives you skill damage. So yeah, that's really the most important part and what you got to get down just to try and simplify it. Now, let's talk about her passive. Their passive is very simple compared to the rest of her kit, fortunately. Now, what it says is talismans obtained through Celestial Revelation, that's your skill. You can use up to 2, obviously, that's the cap. Now, depending on when the talisman number exceeds, the earliest obtained talisman will be removed. So, like if you use your skill too many times, it will replace the earliest one with the new one. So this is the way you can like fish for whatever combo of talismans you really want to use. Now, when consuming a talisman after using Thunder, Oracle Pearl, Myriad Things Thrive, or Fortune's Clarity, again, those are the 3 things I just explained to you. Each talisman has a chance to be retained, which basically means she has a chance to keep it based on ZHILIU's melee weapon trigger probability. So basically, you can only have 2 talismans. Whenever you try to generate another talisman when having 2, the previous one will be obliterated and then you'll keep the new one. And if you use any of the 3 different type of ultimates that we explained earlier, you have a chance to keep one of the talisman based off her melee weapon trigger probability. That's the simplified version of it. Now, let's talk about her 2 passives, like the one that you level up can affect your team, and the one that's specifically for her. So the first one is when ZHILIU or her nearby teammates deal electro skill damage, gain 1 stack that increases morale by 5% up to 12 stacks for 6 seconds. That is ridiculously good because that applies to her teammates and her, and the only requirement is to deal electro damage. Really goddamn good. That is a lot of morale, and it gets even better when we get into her introns. We'll get to that though. Now, the next one we're going to be talking about is Divine Retribution. That is the last one. This is the one that happens when you activate her as a combat partner. Again, this will not be active if you're on ZHILIU. She has to be on your team. And it just increases the attack by 50% for the character and nearby electro characters. So nothing too crazy. This is very simple. A lot of characters that we have right now are already doing exactly that for their specific element. She just does it for electro. So guys, let's talk about our introns now. The first one is when using Thunder Oracle Pearl, the effects of 4 realms align is triggered additionally once to generate several strikes of Zhen-Jun convergence. Now, I know I just spoke a bunch of gibberish to you guys, so let me just go break it down. So Thunder Oracle Pearl is the tap twice, so you get the 2 cards there and then you pop your ultimate that does a straight line, damage in a straight line. What it does, it will just generate that electric field under your feet again that you get from using the other one where you use one of each that strikes several enemies. So basically it just generates a second one of those. So instead of striking several enemies, you'll strike another 7. So you strike 7 and then you're going to strike another 7. The reason why I'm not saying 14 is because I feel like it might be striking the same enemies again. So that's why I'm just saying you're just going to strike another 7 enemies. Now for the second one, when using ultimate skill, increase talisman retention by 50%. The max number of stacks provided by our mutual generation is increased to 20. So what mutual generation is, that is the passive that gives you a bunch of morale. Remember it was 12. This now stacks it up to 20, so you get even more morale. Absolutely ridiculous damage there. And obviously talisman retention, I mentioned earlier, this is just the chances of you keeping a talisman. So very good, because when you stack that 50 plus the whatever you get from your melee weapon trigger probability, you'll have a very high chance of just keeping your talisman so you can use your skill more. As usual with 3 on your introns, it's just going to be levels to your skill and your passive. Nothing crazy there, you just get +2 skill, +1 passive. Now 4. When using Celestial Revelation, increases attack for ZHILIU and nearby teammates by 30%. Again, Celestial Revelation is your skill, so literally just trying to generate your talismans is going to give you and your teammates 30% damage for 30 seconds. Basically, it's permanently up, no downtime. You're going to be using your skills way more. Even if you have a shit ton of retention, you're still going to be using your skills to like generate different combos that you want, right? At least you're going to be using it at least once every 30 seconds. So pretty damn good. 30% for free. Really good. Now, as for her 5, it's just the usual. 2 to her ult, 1 to her passive. Nothing crazy there. And for her 6, when within 4 realms alliance range, increase ZHILIU's pen stats by 55%. God damn. That is ridiculous. And again, that AoE that we talked about earlier, that is exactly what this is, the one that strikes 7 enemies. That is exactly what you need to be within. So yeah, if you don't remember what 4 realms align is because they use 1,000 keywords, that is what it is. You just stand in there and then you'll get a nice little bonus. Nice little being very generous. That shit's crazy. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for ZHILIU. Now, let's go talk about another character. Alright guys, so the next character we're going to be talking about is going to be Yu Ming. Now, at first, He doesn't seem like he has a lot going on, but honestly, I mean, it looks like a lot, but it is not really. I mean, his playstyle seems like it's going to be pretty simple, so yeah, we're going to break this one down as well. Now, let's start off with the skill for Yu Ming. It's called Perceptuous Thunderfall. Yu Ming leaps into the air, and the next plunging attack is replaced with Starlight's Descent, using this skill in Zhao Yuan's manifestation state, whatever you want to call it, in his dragon mode, in his cool dragon mode. Yu Ming gets 1 reverse scale. When the amount of reverse scale reaches its maximum, Starlight Descent is now replaced with a new skill called Sandstorm Descent. Don't worry again, I'll explain all of this and then I'll go back down and I'll like dumb it down to make it simpler, because there's a lot of shit here and it's very simple. Now, Starlight Descent plunges at high speed, dealing AoE damage on impact. This attack is regarded as a melee weapon plunging attack using his ult form, Manifestation State or whatever, triggers something called Worm's Call, or Worm's Clouds, my bad. As for what reverse skills are, reverse skills persist. That means they just stay on the character, up to a maximum of 6 scales existing at the same time. The scales are removed whenever your ult ends. We'll talk about ult more when we get to it. As for the Worm Cloud, it just unleashes 5 strikes of something called Ravaging Thunder at the target location, attacked by Starlight's Descent or Starstorm's Descent, which is the 2 skills we talked about earlier, dealing AoE electro damage with priority giving to different locations. So it will try not to strike the same location, but if the enemies are only in one location, then it will strike that one location. But yeah, it will try its best to spread it out. Now, what is Starstorm's Ascent? Consumes all reverse scales, that's what we talked about earlier, that can stack up to 6 to increase skill damage for Yu Ming and nearby teammates. Then Yu Ming plunges at high speeds, dealing electro damage on impact. This is regarded as a melee weapon plunging attack. Using the skill in his ult state will triggers Worm's Cloud. Alright guys, so let's try and just dumb it down to make it a little bit easier for everybody to understand. So, you get normal plunge attack skill. That's it. Normal plunge attack will give you something called reverse scale. What does reverse scale do? It adds up to 6. Whenever you get 6, you get cool plunge attack. Now, what cool plunge attack does is it just gives you more damage. It gives you skill damage to you and your teammate, so then you do more damage with the cool plunge attack. Now, if you're in your ult state, your cool plunge attack will do something called Worm's Cloud. What does a Worm's Cloud do? It just does AoE 5 times. It will try and split it up, but if there isn't stuff to split it up on, it will just all land in the same area. And that is pretty much everything you need to know about a skill. Now guys, let's talk about the ultimate. As you can see, there's a lot less here to talk about, but we'll get right into it. Grim Scales deals electro damage to enemies in front of Yu Ming and enters Dragon Manifest state. As you guys can see, I'm not going to call out that name because I'm a butcher it, so I'm just going to call it Dragon instead, because that is exactly what it is. Grants immunity to hit stun when taking damage. The dragon will hover around Yu Ming, dealing electro damage to enemies on contact, but it can only deal electro damage like this once every 2 seconds. Now, after Yu Ming and his teammates consume sanity on a skill, like when you use sanity to use a skill, so pretty much just use a damn skill, the next time they deal the skill damage, they will unleash a Flash Dragon Dance. Now what that is just 1 strike of lightning in an AoE, but that can only be triggered once every 2 seconds. Now something that's very unique about this character's state is, like, usually in this game when you're in a state, like an ultimate state, like similar to like Fantasio and stuff like that, you'll continuously drain sanity. This guy works a little bit different. Now the way his state works is you trigger it with 100 sanity cost, and that state will stay up permanently until the dragon around you absorbs a certain amount of damage. So when you're in that state, you don't take damage, the dragon will now take damage for you. But if the dragon takes too much damage, then the state will end. So you could technically have this up permanently if you're playing very, very well. Now, let's talk about his passive. When dealing skill damage, inflict 1 stack of Thunderous Onslaught on the target, up to 3 stacks. Thunderous Onslaught just reduces the enemy's electro resistance. So you get a little bit of shred on his passive. Very, very simple. Now let's talk about the other 2. Yu Ming gains 6 reverse scales when entering Grim Scale. Now we talked about reverse scale, that you need that to go just do the super cool plunge to get a bunch of skill damage. So yeah, whenever you pop your ult, which is Grim Scale, you'll just get all 6 at once. So no real need to like sit there, plunge and get 6, sit there, plunge and get more, sit there, plunge and get more. No need to do all that. That you just pop in your ult will immediately give you 6. You use those 6, get your skill damage boost, then you start building up more to get to the next 6. Now, this is the one that is only active when he's your combat partner. Again, Combat partner, this won't be active unless you have him as a partner. But yeah, it just gives you 15% morale for him and nearby Electro teammates. Now, if you guys are seeing what I'm seeing, we just talked about ZHILIU that's playing around all that morale, and then you get another 15 over here if you have your boy here as a support for Electro on Electro. Y'all picking up what I'm putting down. That shit looks like it's about to be a pretty goddamn good combo. Now, we're going to be talking about his Introns. When in Dragon Manifest state, gain 1 extra reverse skill each time you use his skill. Now, using Sandstorm's Ascent will increase your weapon attack range by 0.6 and skill range by 30% for Yuming and his nearby teammates. We already talked about what these are. Up here, it's just his skill and super cool skill. Y'all already get it. When Yuming or his teammates unleash Flash Dragon Dance, unleash 2 additional projectiles of Flash Dragon Dance within a 10-meter radius of the target. Priority will be given to different location. Remember, Flash Dragon Dance is just when you and your teammates use a skill, you will trigger it and it just deals AoE. So yeah, you just get 2 more, which feels pretty good, especially for ad clear. I really like that. That's pretty nice. And again, normally for Intron 3, for most characters, it's going to be just the same 2-tier skill, 1-tier passive. Now, let's talk about 4. Plunge attacks deal an additional 10% of Yuming still damage with a maximum of 36. So you just get a little bit more plunge attack damage, or a decent amount more plunge attack damage, I should say. Pretty good. And as for 5, it's the usual where you get 2-tier ult, 1-tier passive. And then now we are on 6, the last one. When Starlight Descent or Starstorm Descent deal damage, the damage increased by 50% for each stack of Thunderous Onslaught inflicted on the target. And again, Thunderous Onslaught is right here. It's just whenever you deal still damage, you inflict 1 stack up to 3 stack that reduces the enemy's electro resistance. Now, it's just each stack of those is going to give you 50%, so up to 150% extra damage. Pretty damn peak. Now, what else does it do? When using Starstorm's Descent, restores the dragon's damage absorption rate by 1.8%. So this is a way for you to keep your form up longer if you're taking some damage, right? Pretty cool, pretty clean. This character seems like he's going to be a lot of fun, just like perma plunge attacking, doing a bunch of fancy AoEs. I feel like he's going to be quite a favorite by a lot of people. Now, let's go check on the next character. Alright guys, the next character we're going to be talking about is KEZHOU. And he looks pretty damn clean, so I mean, let's see what he's cooking up. So before we go too deep into it, something I wanted to say is the name of the skill, and I think the passive is incorrect. So yeah, we'll be talking about it. Just ignore the names of them for now. We'll talk about it once we get to them. So, deals lumino damage to enemies within range 3 times and increase KEZHOU's ranged weapon attack speed. While in aspect manifestation state, this is his ult state, increase KEZHOU's melee weapon attack speed, during which KEZHOU is immune to hit stun and taking damage. Absolutely peak. We love hit stun immunity. Now, for the rest of this, I'm going to try my best to just call it ult state instead of aspect manifestation state. That's too damn long. Ain't nobody care about all that. Now, let's talk about it. So yeah, it looks a little bit long, I'm not gonna lie, but honestly, it is quite simple. This is another one where I'm just gonna explain everything, then I'm gonna go back and like dumb it down to make it easier to understand for everybody. So yeah, let's go into it and see what we got going on. So his ult's called Light Sword Slice Starry Dreams. Like, god damn, that is a mouthful. Like, could we really not use shorter names of these things? Enter ult state and summon Edge of All Times to rain from the sky, dealing lumino damage to enemies within range. Now, while your ult state is on, KEZHOU's melee weapons become something called a Thanos Sword. When triggering bonus effects using your Thanos Sword, generate 1 Thanos Plume. While in aspect manifestation state or ult state, this skill is replaced with something called Feathered Chase Dust in Dreams. Like, god damn, these words are a mouthful and a half. Like, why is that a whole sentence? No, the first cast of his ult, because obviously the first one, Light Sword, Slice Starry Dreams, whatever you want to call it, consumes less sanity based off KEZHOU's sword intent point. We'll talk about the sword intent when we get to it. Don't worry about it for now. At max sword intent points, the sanity cost of Light Sword Slice Starry Dreams, or the first cast of his ult, is further reduced by an additional 20. Now, for the second cast of his ult, I ain't calling out these names anymore, consume less sanity based on KEZHOU's string intent. Again, we'll talk about this when we get to it. At max string intent point, the sanity cost of your second cast of your ult will be further reduced by an additional 20. So one here is just the first cast and one is the second cast. Now, let's talk about the Thanos Sword, because this is really damn cool and very unique, I'm not gonna lie. Makes the character a lot more interesting. Now, the Thanos sword inherits all the stats from KEZHOU's melee weapons and gain increased attack range. Thanos sword has normal attack modes for sword, great sword, polearm, and dual blades. So that is crazy. This one weapon has 4 different attack patterns? That's pretty goddamn clean. After executing the final hit of Thanos sword, it switches to a random attack mode and then launches all those Thanos plumes that we talked about earlier. So the Thanos plume. These Thanos plume, you can have a maximum of 7 of them at the same time. Now, when launched, each of them will select a random enemy to orbit. It homes towards them to attack them, and then it deals lumina damage to enemies along the way to them. It attacks 4 times and then dissipates. Targets hit by your Thanos plumes take additional damage, which is equivalent to a certain percentage of the dot bonus effect Lumino multiplied by KEZHOU's melee weapon trigger probability. Now, as for the second cast of your ult, again, it just ends your ult state and deals Lumino damage to enemies in front. Now, let's dumb this down for you guys to make it a lot more easy to consume, and let's try not to use all those damn big words that they gave us, alright? So, first cast of your ult enters manifestation state or ult state. Cool. New state, really clean, very simple, and you do a little bit of AoE to enemies around you. The second cast of that will end that mode and do AoE to enemies around you. Now, based off your sword intent and string intent, we'll talk about it more when we get to it, the sword intent will make the first cast cost less, and the string intent will make the second cast cost less. Now, when you enter your ult state, your sword now changes to a Thanos sword. Now when you hit stuff with your Thanos sword based off your trigger probability and your weapon, you'll generate something called Thanos plume. Now that Thanos sword has 4 different modes. It has a sword mode, a great sword mode, a polearm mode, and a dual blade mode. It will keep all the stats from whatever melee weapon you currently have equipped, and it will give you more attack range. Now, whenever you do the final hit of whatever one of the modes you have, you will launch off all the Thanos plumes that you're collecting up here from just triggering a bonus effect to random enemies, and then you will swap from whatever mode you're in to one of the 3 random modes. So if you're in Greatsword, you have a chance to go to Sword, Polearm, or Dual Blades. Now, the Thanos plume will home to enemies. It will deal damage to enemies along the way, and after attacking enemies 4 times, it will disappear. And that is everything you need to know about his ult. Again, it sounds like a mouthful, but it's honestly quite simple. But yeah, now let's talk about the intent that we're talking about earlier. So as I said before, some of the names are going to be a little bit weird here. This is another one that's a little bit weird. It's not supposed to be life drifts, tide, rearrange. It's supposed to be life's fleeting and then shifting tide. So don't worry about the names too much. I'll explain it and I'll talk about it whenever we get to that to make it simple so you guys don't get mixed up. Now, you initially start with 50 points of sword intent and string intent, both up to 100 points. Now, increases melee weapon damage and melee weapon trigger probability based off the percentage of the sword intent point, and it will also do the exact same for range, so it increases your range weapon damage and range weapon trigger probability based off your percentage of your string intent. So sword intent is for the sword, and then string intent is for your ranged weapon. So sword for melee, string for range. Each time KEZHOU deals range damage, 1 string intent point is converted into 1 sword intent point. Every time you deal the opposite will happen. So every time you deal melee damage, 1 sword intent point will be converted into 1 string intent point. So it's a little bit of the opposite. Now, this is where the name becomes a little bit more important. So upon entering your ult state, this is his passives, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mention that. This is the extra passives that you get. Upon entering your ult state, records the current sword intent point for a period of time, 15 seconds. If the sword intent drops below this value, the sword intent applied to this passive up here, I'll just say that instead of calling out the names, that applies to your primary passive, will adapt the recorded value instead. So this way, whatever value you have before you pop your ultimate, you will lock that there, and you cannot drop below that value just because of this passive. And again, this is the exact same for the range one. Whatever you see for sword intent, it is the exact same for string intent. So whatever string intent point you have before you pop your ult, it will lock it there for 15 seconds, and you cannot drop below that. You can still go up, you just cannot go down. Now, let's talk about the last passive. This is the simple one. It's just increased attack for Lumino characters by 40% on your team. Again, this is only active when he is the supporting character on your team. So yeah, he has to be supporting. You cannot be on this character. Now, let's talk about all of his Introns. Increase the effect percentage of Sword Intent and String Intent applied to your passive by 0.85%. Whenever there's 1 to 2 enemies within 20 meters, the mutual conversion point for Sword Intent and String Intent is increased to 3 to 2 points when KEZHOU deals weapon damage. So this is just making it easier for you to, like, I guess, build up your intent, right? Now, for the second one, restore 3 points of sanity once every 0.5 seconds when triggering a bonus effect. Now, for the third one, this is going to be just the normal one that every character gets. It's just 2 to your skill, 1 to your passive. Nothing crazy there. Now, let's talk about the fourth. When using your ultimate, KEZHOU gains something called Blessed by Wind and Moon. What that does is it grants you immunity to hit stun and reduces damage taken by 25% for 15 seconds. Very simple, nothing too crazy there. And as for 5, it's the usual 2 to your ult, 1 to your passive. Nothing crazy there. Now, let's talk about the 6th, the last one. When triggering bonus effect, KEZHOU gains 1 stack that increases his pen stats by 9% for 5 seconds, up to 6 stacks. Very good. That's a lot of pen. It's going to be very, very useful. And that is pretty much going to be everything for KEZHOU. That is going to be the third out of, I think, 5 characters. Let's get on to the next one. Alright guys, this character is named FUSHU, and luckily for me, there's no need to dumb this one kits down. She is extremely simple. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. I already know I love my summon and I like my AFK characters, so this one I feel like is going to be pretty fun, and she's going to work really well with a certain good AoE character, and let's just go with good. As for her skill is called Sub-Celestial Solace, summons 1 Yunchi. A maximum of 2 Yunchis can exist at the same time. The Yunchi inherits 100% of Fushu stats and deals hydro damage to the nearest 5 enemies once every second. Yunchi restores HP and sanity for nearby teammates every 3 seconds. You heard it right, ladies and gentlemen. We got a support character that can give us sanity. Oh my god, I cannot wait to see what she's gonna do for some of the builds on my goddamn account. Holy! And a little bit of spoiler, I'm not gonna lie, you do get an extra one when we get to the Introns. We'll talk about that, y'all already know what it is. We like the Introns out here. Now, let's get into her ultimate. Hullstick Harmony deals hydro damage to nearby enemies, grants Fushu an ultra shield, and increases her attack speed. In addition, Fushu's teammates also receive the ultra shield, remember, just the ultra shield, not the attack speed, and they gain something called 9 Needle Therapy. 9 Needle Therapy increases skill damage by a percentage of Fushu's skill damage. Y'all already see what I'm talking about. This chick looks cracked. HP, restore for teammates. Sanity, restore for teammates. Skill damage, like, what is going on? She's looking too good. And she looks simple to play. And AFK friendly. You already know I like my AFK friendly characters. We gonna be making an AFK build on her instantly. Now, as for her passive, it's called Arceus Revival. Using a combat skill or ultimate skill, this works for both her and her teammates, it doesn't matter which one use it, gains 1 stack that increases skill speed up to 10 stacks. In the remaining time of the effect is refreshed when a new stack is gained. So this is literally permanently up. You're going to be getting a bunch of extra skill speed, which can be very nice because casting skills faster is just more comfort. I like that. So far, based off what we've seen, she's giving HP restore, sanity restore, she's giving skill damage, she's giving skill speed. She looks like she's about to be a cracked universal support. Like, it's ridiculous how good this character is looking right now. Now, let's talk about the other skills, or other passives that she has. Increase skill damage based on 33%. Now, let's talk about the rest of the passives that she has, because we're not done yet. She gets even better, boys. Increase skill damage by 33% per Yunchis, and as I said before, you get an extra one, so you can get up to 3. So that's going to be 3 of those bad boys on the field at once. It looks cracked. Increase skill damage by 10% for the characters and their nearby teammates when there are 2 or more characters in the same team that share the same element. So they don't have to specifically share the element with her. There just needs to be 2 of the same element characters on the field, so she can work with goddamn any team. She doesn't need to be another water character. You can have 2 fires and then her, and you'll still get this buff. It is cracked, guys. This is ridiculous amounts of damage. Like 10% skill damage here, you're gonna get 99 there. You're getting what? Some up here based off a percentage of her skill damage. You're getting sanity, you're getting HP, you're getting skill speed. She is looking busted. And it gets even better. Now, let's talk about her broken introns. When FUSHU or her nearby teammates are applied with 9 needle therapy, so this is the skill damage that we talk about bonus from up top, it ignores the target's defense by 25% when dealing skill damage. Guys, this character, I mean, she's busted. This is the first Intron that she's getting, and it's ignoring 25% of defense when you're dealing skill damage, and she's giving like 1,000 different buffs. Now, this is the one that I've been teasing at you guys with. Increase the number of Yunchis allowed on the field at a time up to 3. So that is +1. So that is going to be better damage that she's going to be giving people. It looks so good. This character looks ridiculous. For 3, you get +2 to your skill, +1 to your passive. Now, let's talk about 4. Increase the stack cap of Arceus Rival to 15. That is the skill speed right here. You're going to be able to get it to 15 stacks now instead of 10, which is pretty good. More skill speed means more comfort. Not complaining. She's already so goddamn good. She doesn't even need any more buffs right there. Now, for 5, again, the usual. 2 to ult, 1 to passive. Nothing crazy there. Now, as for 6, during the attack speed boost effect granted by Hostess Harmony, this is her ult, FUSHU deals an additional 240% hydro damage, and that is right here. For that attack speed boost duration, you're going to be having it for 12 seconds, so that is 12 seconds of 240% more hydro damage. It's looking a little bit too good. Like, I mean, this character looks crazy good, guys. And again, she looks so simple to place. Like, I can't even wait to start dropping her in random teams, because she is going to be the new most strongest support in the game. I guarantee it. She looks broken. Now, let's get on to the last character. I know this video has been long. Thank you for sticking with me. It's been a little bit of a ride, but we're going to be getting into the last one right now. Alright guys, we're on to the 5th and final character of this video, called HILDA. And goddamn, is she bad? Like, she is fine as hell, and her playstyle is looking good as hell too. Let's talk about it. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is her skill. Pyrotech Cleaning commands all dirt expellers to continuously revolve around HILDA and fire hypothermal purges, during which the duration for all light dirt expellers pauses. Again, the light dirt expellers are just guns that rotate around her, so I'm not going to be calling them by this annoyingly long name for you guys. I'll just keep it simple. And then hypothermal purges is just a pyro beam. So again, I'm not going to sit here and just call it that. I'll just say pyro beam or the gunshots at people. And yeah, just to keep it simple for you guys. So again, the pyro beam that you're going to be forcing these guns to shoot is going to deal pyro damage to enemies, and whenever you defeat an enemy, it has a chance to restore sanity for HILDA during the effect of the skill. So the skill will be inactive once it's on. It's going to be draining sanity from you, but when you kill stuff with the weapons firing around you that the skill enhances, you have a chance of getting sanity back. Very simple. Now, let's talk about the weapons that we just talked about. Her ultimate is called Wholehearted Service. Deals pyro damage to surrounding enemies and inflicts disarm on them for each target hit. Summons 1 light dirt expeller or 1 gun around HILDA and resets the duration for all other guns that HILDA has. Also, HILDA carries an extra 2 heavy dirt expellers, so 2 big guns, let's just go with that, and the heavy dirt expellers and light dirt expellers, which is your normal and big guns, automatically shoot nearby enemies once every 3 seconds, dealing pyro damage. A maximum of 6 light guns can exist at the same time, and as for the disarm that happens when you ult, it just permanently takes away all their ranged weapons, so they won't be able to use ranged weapons anymore. They're gonna have to get up close and personal with you. And again, remember, the guns shoot normally until you use your skill. When you use your skill, they start to rotate and just shoot out a beam attack. Now, let's talk about her passive, automatic sanitizing. So this is what gives you 2 heavy dirt expellers that are, or heavy weapons, that automatically shoot nearby targets every 3 seconds, dealing pyro damage. When you dodge with HILDA, she reloads her ranged weapon magazine to a maximum, and she gains something called Elegant Anger for 6 seconds. Elegant Anger increases the attack speed of your dirt expellers, so both the light and the heavy. It increases the rotation speed of the skill that makes the guns rotate around you shooting the beam attack, and it increases the attack speed of ranged weapons. Very good. Character looks like she's going to be fun. Let's talk about the other passives. So, multitasking. Dirt Expeller has a chance to fire one additional projectile. The probability is equal to 30% plus 20% of Hilda's ranged weapons multi-shot. Increase the damage of your skill, the hyperthermic purge, by 30% plus 20% of her ranged weapons multi-shot. As for the last one, the standard one, increase the attack by 50% for the character and nearby pyro teammates. Again, this is when she's your combat partner, not when you're actively using her. But yeah, now let's talk about her introns. So the first intron we got here is Hilda's dodge attempt is increased by 2, and she gets an extra 30% to her elegant anger. And again, this is very good because the buffs you get from elegant anger are very, very significant. So having 2 extra dodges to keep it up, plus the one from that little demon wedge you can get, you're going to be dodging around a couple of times. Increase the length of hyperthermic purge, so your skill, by 50% whenever your skill deals damage, inflicts an effect to the target that increases damage taken from Hilda by 90% for 2 seconds. So remember, your skill just changes your guns from shooting normally to spinning around her, and this is going to allow you to do 90% more damage for 2 seconds while giving you 50% more range. Really, really good. As usual, for the third one, it's just going to be plus 2 to your skill, plus 1 to your ultimate. Now, let's talk about 4. When using your ultimate, summon 2 additional light Dirt Expellers, so these small guns. That means now, before you had 6, now you're going to be using 8, and then you have the 2 big ones, so that's 10. Pretty damn good. That's a lot of goddamn firepower. You know what I'm saying? And decreases the target's defense by 25% for 12 seconds. Really, really good. So pop your ult for 12 seconds, you decreases the enemy's defense, and you decrease the target's damage, my bad, not defense, my bad, and then you get an additional 2 guns. And again, for 5 is just the usual, very simple, plus 2 to your ult, plus 1 to your passive. Now, for 6, increase Hilda's pen stats by 50% during your skill's duration. Remember, the skill just drains sanity, so as long as your skill is active, you're going to be getting 50% pen stats. And guys, that is going to be it for all the new characters that we know coming for 1.1. There is one more, but unfortunately there is no information on them yet, so unfortunately I can't really bring that information to you guys. It is a little unfortunate, but these are all the ones that we know the information on. We talked about everything about them. If you guys like this video, like the video, comment, subscribe to help out the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next one. You guys have a wonderful day. Peace out, boys.